Imagine it's a quiet morning at the San Sabá Mission in central Texas. The Spanish missionaries are just starting their day. Suddenly, the air is filled with screams. The Comanche warriors, riding on swift horses, storm the mission. They are fierce, skilled fighters. This attack marks a turning point. The Spanish realize they are dealing with a powerful and deadly force. This marked the beginning of their journey to becoming the deadliest tribe in Texas. But the Comanches were not always the most feared tribe. Their story began centuries earlier, when they were a small band of hunter-gatherers in the Rocky Mountains. But their destiny changed when they met the Spanish. The Spanish brought horses to the New World, and the Comanches quickly mastered them. They became expert horsemen, and this changed everything. The San Sabá Mission attack was not just a random act of violence, it was a calculated strike. The Comanches and their allies wanted to send a message. They were not to be underestimated. This mission, built by Spanish missionaries, was meant to convert the local tribes to Christianity and to assert Spanish control over the region. The Comanches saw it as an invasion of their land and a direct threat to their way of life. They retaliated with force, burning the mission to the ground and killing many of its inhabitants. The attack on the San Sabá Mission was meticulously planned. The Comanches and their allies gathered a force of around 2,000 warriors. They waited until the Spanish were most vulnerable, then launched a surprise attack. The mission's defenses were quickly overwhelmed. The wooden structures caught fire easily, and the defenders were either killed or fled. The Comanches took great care to ensure that their enemies suffered, capturing and torturing some of the survivors in a brutal display of power. Horses changed the way of life for the Comanches. They could now travel long distances quickly, hunt more efficiently, and carry more goods. They became the masters of the plains. The Comanches learned to ride horses as if they were born in the saddle. They developed new techniques of warfare, using their speed and mobility to their advantage. They could attack swiftly and disappear just as quickly. Their skill on horseback made them almost unbeatable in battle. They could shoot arrows accurately even at full gallop, and they could outrun almost any enemy. They also became more nomadic, following the buffalo herds across the plains. Buffalo were their main source of food, clothing, and tools. With horses, they could hunt more buffalo and sustain larger populations. They traded horses with other tribes and even with Europeans, gaining more wealth and power. By the early 1700s, the Comanches had created a powerful empire. They controlled vast territories in what is now Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Colorado. They were not just warriors, but also skilled diplomats. They formed alliances with other tribes and played European powers against each other. The Comanche Empire was unique. It was not a centralized state with a single ruler. Instead, it was a network of bands, each led by its own chief. These bands cooperated with each other, but also operated independently. This decentralized structure made them flexible and resilient. Even if one band was defeated, the others could continue the fight. The Comanches were feared and respected by all who encountered them. They were known for their bravery in battle and their ability to endure hardships. Their raids could strike terror into the hearts of settlers and soldiers alike. They were not just fighting for survival, but for dominance. They wanted to control the land and its resources. The Comanches were not just skilled fighters. They were also brutal. Their warfare was characterized by extreme violence. They believed in total war, aiming to destroy their enemies completely. They would kill men, women, and children, and take captives. These captives were often tortured or enslaved. One of the most shocking aspects of Comanche warfare was their treatment of captives. They would often torture their prisoners in gruesome ways. This was not just to inflict pain, but to send a message. They wanted their enemies to fear them and to think twice before challenging them. Captives could expect to be treated in several horrific ways. Torture was common, and it could be prolonged and brutal. Some captives were staked to the ground and left to die slowly under the scorching sun. Others were subjected to ritualistic tortures, The Comanches also used captives for ransom. They knew that European settlers would often pay to get their loved ones back. This practice became a source of income for the tribe. However, even those who were ransomed back to their families were often deeply traumatized by their experiences. As settlers moved into Texas, they found themselves in constant conflict with the Comanches. The Texas frontier was a dangerous place. Settlers had to be on constant guard against Comanche raids. These raids could come without warning, striking isolated farms and villages. The Comanches fought fiercely to defend their land. They saw the settlers as invaders who were trying to take what rightfully belonged to them. The settlers, on the other hand, saw the Comanches as a brutal and savage enemy. This clash of cultures led to a long and bloody conflict. One of the most famous battles was the Battle of Plum Creek in 1840. The Comanches had raided the town of Linville, looting and burning it to the ground. As they were returning to their territory, a force of Texas Rangers and militiamen caught up with them. The battle was fierce, with heavy casualties on both sides, but it was a turning point. The settlers began to push the Comanches back, slowly taking control of Texas. Despite their brutality, the Comanches had a strict code of honor. They valued bravery, loyalty, and generosity. A warrior's reputation was based on his actions in battle. To be called a coward was the worst insult. Warriors were expected to face death without fear. The Comanches also had a strong sense of community. They believed in taking care of their own. Wealth was shared among the tribe, and leaders were expected to be generous. A chief who did not share his wealth would lose the respect of his people. This code of honor extended to their enemies. While they could be ruthless, they also respected bravery in their opponents. A captive who showed courage might be adopted into the tribe rather than killed. This complex mix of brutality and honor made the Comanches both feared and respected. The decline of the Comanche Empire came swiftly in the late 1800s. Several factors contributed to their downfall. One was the relentless pressure from settlers and the U.S. military. The Comanches could not match the firepower and resources of the American government. Another factor was the destruction of the buffalo herds. The Comanches depended on buffalo for their way of life. But by the 1870s, the buffalo were nearly extinct due to overhunting by settlers. This struck at the heart of Comanche society, undermining their economy and food supply. Disease also played a role. The Comanches, like many Native American tribes, had no immunity to diseases brought by Europeans. Smallpox, measles, and other illnesses decimated their population. In the end, the Comanches were forced onto reservations. Their way of life was destroyed, and they were confined to small, controlled areas. The fierce warriors who once dominated the plains were now dependent on government rations. The legacy of the Comanches is a complex one. They were both admired and feared. They were seen as noble warriors, but also as ruthless killers. Their story is one of resilience and adaptability. They took the tools of their enemies and used them to build a powerful empire. Today, the Comanches are remembered as one of the most formidable tribes in American history. Their skill as horsemen and warriors is legendary. They left a lasting impact on the culture and history of the American West. The Comanche Nation still exists today. They continue to honor their heritage and keep their traditions alive. While their empire is gone, their spirit endures. The story of the Comanches is a reminder of the strength and resilience of the human spirit. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.